Everybody. Got a good video this morning where I want to do another attic investigations, what I call them, and basically, since I reported somebody in my attic, and then of course a year later I'm ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going in my attic. I made 100 videos of burglar alarms going off here, saw somebody in my attic, and just overwhelming proof, and with investigation, then I'm sure that it's this home's been rigged with underground access. Multiple people document saying tunnels, underground facilities here. I know they're not coming in the doors, etc. But I also documented homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and multiple other states reporting people in the attic. I think it's widespread racketeering. The same thing is going on at many other homes. So I've done several videos where attic investigations, and then like 3322 Providence, actually went into that home, took some pictures. And then the 300 Hickory, I did one. That was a smoker in the attic. I made a video on that. The one at 2505 Dartmouth. And what I do, I look at the next door neighbors, because it makes the most sense that the tunnel, going underground tunnel, would be coming from one of their homes, because it's the shortest path and it would cost the least amount of money. And so that way somebody could, with hidden underground access up a modified wall into an attic, then they could come and go without being seen, and then it's free shelter and heating, cooling, electricity, etc. And then of course they're spying on the homeowners, and they can steal passwords, and when the homeowner's gone, they have their house to do whatever they want with, or whatever, if they want to use it for a flop house, prostitution tricks, or whatever. And so anyways, today we're going to focus on home on Storey, 4619 Storey, and that is one of the first homes that I heard on the scanner of somebody reporting somebody in the attic. I overheard it on my police scanner, and this was before I was recording the calls. But what I did do was send myself an email, and I went over there and I talked to the man, and his name is Harold Klotz. Okay, and so that's really what I'm gonna go in, talk about today. Where I'm gonna start here is I got a private message from a person, and it basically, it says, we hadn't talked before, whatever. There's earthquakes in the area. Do you think these earthquakes are connected to the tunnels? Okay. And then I wrote back and I said, well, I can remember, I lived in Orla, Texas between 1986 and 92. And I remember being woke up by an earthquake. So earthquakes been going on in this part of the country for a long time. Okay. So, I personally don't think the earthquakes are connected to tunnels. Okay. And that's my personal opinion. And then I go on and I talk about where I reported somebody in the attic here, and then a year later I'm ambushed and shot with burglar alarm squad in my attic, and what I've already said a minute ago. And we need to find some real police, that's legitimate, has integrity, and is actually trying to stop crimes, and they might have to arrest some corrupt police, okay? Because I believe we have some, and that's what's allowed this racketeering, the burglary, theft, murder, rigging of homes, etc., to go unchecked, okay? And so anyways, I'm telling them about all these others, attic investigations. And then I have a link at the bottom, and I'm going to show you that. And I'll put this when I post this. Here's the other videos I did investigating these other homes, or some of them other homes. The one on Dartmouth was real interesting, because it looked like Curtis Lloyd used to live in the house next door to it. And that's the guy that found Haley Dunn's remains 2 days after I wrote the Department of Justice and suggested that somebody come here and look in the underground facility here. And so I had long believed that there's a connection between the 13-year-old missing, murdered, famous child, Haley Dunn, in this house, because I wrote the Department of Justice, suggested to come here. 2 days later, her remains are found, and they're found no less by Curtis Lloyd, that grew up in a house next door to where somebody's reporting people in the attic. And then the one on Hickory, this person smelled smoke in the attic, and it's real easy to tell if you got a smoker, you know. I mean, you know, non-smokers can smell smokers, you know. And in this home, they had an estate sale there, and I went and took pictures of inside the home, you know, and so that was interesting. And that people in the attic is the homeowners all over the country, all over Midland, Odessa, etc. Documented people, you know, and that's just some of them, you know, and to show you how big this racketeering is. And then here on the Simpson murder suicide, which is a home on Crenshaw, and it's believed that murder suicide's connected to the crimes here at my house because Chad Simpson was one of the secret police. But the question was asked if that was a rigged home. Maybe that was a double murder and it was made to look like a murder suicide. And so I basically did an investigation. And when I say investigation, I'm going to go look and go who was the owners of the home, who were the neighbors, etc. You know, and see if we can, you know, a lot of this is for law enforcement to come back here and you know, so they can use for their investigation. Once again, this is the legitimate, the ones that we, you know, that, you know, I'm a lifelong supporter of law enforcement, and you know, I give them all the praise in the world, but I take a strong stand against police corruption. And of course, you know, I had to pay $2,000 to get the secret police here identified, and you know, and now we know that 5 of them, you know, were here at my house, and they wasn't seen coming in the door, arriving in a car, which told me they come from under my house. Davis, Diggy, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale. I have a feeling they know all about these tunnels and these rigged homes, and so that's the police corruption side of it. And I don't support police corruption. You know, they were caught lying on police reports. I have absolute, undeniable proof about that, and perjuring themselves and basically destroying the life of innocent crime victims, home mind his own business, reporting crime. You know, I mean, there's question if people reporting crime are being set up to be murdered by corrupt police. You know, I mean, I think we need to look at that and get that question answered. But back to the story here, attic investigation, 4619 Storey. And here's the history. On October 1st, 2008, I had a realtor, and I was transferring into town with DCP Midstream, and Janine Pruitt showed me this house. I took pictures of it that day. Okay. And then 12 days later, the previous young homeowner, Mike Lawhon, dies. Okay. And that's the week before the 2008 oil show starts. And I think that's significant and important and probably connected to his murder. And you know, that's what I believe. Well, then the widow, Sarah Lawhon, drops the price on this home, amazingly, $35,000, and offers it to me through Janine. Okay. And then on the 28th, that's what I'm showing, I meet the home inspector here, and we find that the back door was kicked in, and I'm going to show you that here. Okay, so on the 12th, okay, I was wanting to come up faster, but it wasn't. This is the obituary for the previous owner, Michael Lawhon. He's married to Sarah Lawhon, had 2 little boys. He was only 27 years old. His mom was Sue Tennis. Sister Susan McGaina, which I talked to on the phone, and there's another brother here, Brian Tennis, and I think his wife lived here at the time, and he told me, you know, where they got in an argument, and there was a gun involved and all that stuff, but that's not part of the story. And this is a print screen I took recently, which is only within the last couple of months. I talked to a friend of mine that was really good friends with Mike, the guy that lived in the house before you did. And he said Mike would always talk about how he felt like people were in his house, how he knew people were in his house. So Mike Lawhon was reporting the same crimes that I'm reporting before he died. And remember, he put his house up for sale. And you know, and so that might have been a factor in him being murdered, you know. And, you know, so running and hiding and selling your house gets you murdered is what it looks like. Okay. So then on the 28th, I meet the home inspector here, Perkins Brazier. Okay. And documented on the home inspection report is a hole in the laundry room door. Well, I had this picture from the first, and there ain't no hole there. Okay. So sometime during the month of October, somebody brute force kicked open this back door here. It goes to the garage. This is Janine Pruitt right here. First day I looked at the home, I was taking pictures, and the door is fine. But 28 days later, the doors kicked in, and I got a feeling it happened on the 12th, on the night that Mike Lawhon died. I got a feeling they kicked that door in, chased him down, gave him an injection, and then took him to Fort Worth. But that's not what this video is about. That's the history, okay? But I wanted to get that in there. on here we go. November 9th, 2010, I reported my first burglary. Not somebody in the attic. I just recognized somebody was in my house, And already, I said this last night on Facebook, that on that first police report, they put down on there possible 1096, which means crazy. Keep in mind, I was a 27-year company man, homeowner, grandfather, had raised children, and here I recognized somebody was in my house, not in my attic, and the police were already beginning to set up to call me crazy. And that it seems to be modus operandi for this crime ring that's rigging these homes to steal and kill, is that they call the crime victims crazy. They label them with these life-destroying lies to cover up these burglary, thefts, and murders. Okay, and as we've already shown, obviously we have some corrupt police involved, and we're looking for some police that are not corrupt. Okay, and they might have to arrest the other ones. Okay, and so a year later, on January 8, 2011, I reported my second burglary to the police, and that time I heard somebody in my attic. Okay. And or that was only a couple months later. And then a year after that, on 1/28/12, I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off in my attic. Okay, that's documented, and that, of course, this video is not about that, but it's showing, that I've created 100 videos of burglar alarms going in my attic. I saw a person in my attic. It's not a what if, could be. I know they're not coming in the doors. Multiple people saying tunnels here. I believe they're, it's underground access, modified wall, etc. It's also extremely dangerous. These are armed and dangerous criminals backed up by a secret police murder gang, and they've got the press helping them cover up their crimes as they break into homes to steal and kill. Literally, that's what's going on. Okay, and I'm sure there's a lot of money to be made doing it. Okay, well, now to the main part of the story. Okay, on June 26, 2013, Harold Klotz reports somebody in the attic. I overheard it on my police scanner. Okay, this was before I was recording them, so I don't have a recorder, but I did send myself an email, and this was the email I sent, dated 6/27. And I said at 5 o'clock yesterday, I heard a call on the scanner from the dispatcher concerning a person that said they have intruders in the attic. The female dispatcher stated a possible 1096, which is a mental patient. Remember, I told you the modus operandi is that they falsely label the crime victim as crazy so they can cover up the theft and murders. Okay, that's connected to corrupt police. Okay, the secret police. The radio said that these people had been breaking into his attic for about 3 years. So Harold Klotz had called the police more than once. This was at 4619 Storey and owned by Harold Klotz. Now I can go to the appraisal district website, midcad.org, and I can look that up, and I did. Okay. And so I went over there after the police left and all that. I spoke to Mr. Klotz, and he told me that he had rented his home out for a few years. And this is when I suppose it was rigged for covert entry. He mentioned that something was built in the attic that wasn't there before, and he wants to show me this later. It sounded like he had also talked to the sheriff's office concerning the same matter without resolution. So there may be a document trail if we can get legitimate police to go to the sheriff and start pulling records. He was sure that there was more than one intruder, which is the same thing going on here. They were also entering the living area of his home while he wasn't there, which is also happening here. He said that the police suggested that he shoot them, but I'm worried that the police would lock this man up, calling him crazy if he tried to protect his property. Once again, the same thing here. And that's how they're, literally, I mean, it is crazy, tunneling under a home to break in to steal and kill, right? And probably connected to human trafficking, and it's free room and board to them, whatever. They're stealing from you, okay? It's thefts. Okay, and I keep writing, as I suspect there are more homes that these people have rigged so they can repeatedly break into, terrifying the homeowners and stealing utilities. I strongly suspect that they murder whoever catches onto their crimes, and possibly they murder people just to collect the insurance and inheritance. It's appearing more and more that quite a few members of local law enforcement are involved in this racketeering. I'm sending an email to myself in 2013, okay, and so this is a year after, I'm ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going in my attic. And that was the first time I found out it was somebody else, okay? So I've done this by dates. And one thing I wanted to add here, because I think it's important, is here in July, it may be important, July 27, 2013, James Will Pruitt died at 47. He owned Diamond Tech Concrete Cutting, okay? the reason, and this is all going to tie together here in a minute, but the reason that I put this obituary in here, and a lot of people in Midland knew this man, Will Pruitt, okay, he died at 47 years old. He owned Diamond Tech Concrete Cutting. Okay, now that's what I thought was interesting. And his wife was Janine Pruitt. She was the realtor that found me my rigged home. Okay, and so thinking this through, this is a concrete slab house. To rig it with underground access, okay, trap door, like the ex-wife told me is happening. Multiple people said tunnels there. Previous owner Ricky said, I used to go in the tunnel and that happened, etc. You're going to need to cut through the concrete, and Will Pruitt owned a company that cut concrete, okay, and so maybe Will Pruitt, as records or people that worked for him, with him or whatever, go, oh yeah, we cut a hole in that home and we went over to this home and we cut a home, and then all of a sudden we could go back and go, oh look, the owners reported a burglary in this home, they reported somebody in the attic or whatever, for law enforcement to go do that. Okay, and so and the reason I put that in there is because of the timing on it is when he died at a young age. Okay, and he owned that concrete gun. So that, so that's leads for legitimate law enforcement to follow up to stop this crime ring that's rigging these homes across the country and killing people. And so and then the next thing here is on July 14th, Klotz sold the home to David Pine, the boss of Janine Pruitt. Okay, and so that's one of the reasons that I did that with Will Pruitt, is that Janine Pruitt that found me this home here, this rigged special home that I was ambushed and shot in. Okay, and notice she works at Pine and Beckett Realtors. Okay, and there's her team or whatever. And then I ain't saying Janine knows, and I ain't saying that her husband was murdered and he was cutting holes in floors of homes to rig them for theft and murder and etc. But I think these are things legitimate law enforcement needs to look at. We know for a fact that we got serious crimes going on and there's unsolved murders. The little girl that they found the remains of. So here we're going to look at that. That was Janine. Here's the deed history. Okay, in the middle. Okay, this where I did the two neighbors, and in the middle. In the middle is 4619 Storey. You go to Midcat and you look that up. Okay, and what I just said, July 14, 2014, Harold Klotz sold that home to James David Pine. Okay, and he's the one that owns Pine and Becker Realtor. That my realtor that found me this home bought that home. Now I'm sure he's a realtor, so he probably has bought a lot of homes, and you're going to see he also knows a lot of people. And so I overheard Harold Klotz on somebody in the attic here. And he mentioned there was a lot of 24/7 traffic at 4617 Storey, the home of Dr. Paul Best. Okay, so I go over and I talk to Harold Klotz. Okay, and I'm asking him about his neighbors. Okay, well, he specifically mentions this neighbor here at 4617 Storey, Paul Wesley Best, a doctor. Well, I found that interesting anyway, because I already been told there's, the secret is a group of doctors killing people for profit, right? And then come to find out that the emergency room doctor was the brother-in-law of the ex-wife, and she's alleged to be involved in the shooting. So and then he's telling me that there was traffic, 24/7 traffic coming and going from this house right here. Okay, and then on the other side is, it looked back when he lived there, when Klotz lived there, a guy named Charles Michael Holcomb. Okay, I googled him and I couldn't find much information other than we have 40 mutual friends on Facebook friends. Okay, and I could show you that. And so I googled this neighbor. I didn't mean to hit that, but I didn't want to print it. I want to edit it. Okay. And so I just googled Dr. Paul Best, Midland, Texas, right? Okay, here's Paul, MD. And there's his address, 4617 Storey. Okay, right next door to Klotz. And that is where, I'm sure police records will show that he called more than once, reported somebody in the attic. Okay, and then when I Googled it, I found that Dr. Paul Best Emergency Medicine, and I'm like, I wonder if he knows my former brother-in-law, who was the ER doctor on the night that I'm shot, the brother-in-law of the ex-wife, and he was proven that he was up there when them X-rays were faked. I thought that was kind of interesting. That's who, and this is the home where Klotz told me there was so much traffic, 24/7 traffic. I wonder if it was a sex trafficking deal. And then the next time I see, Googling here, April 22nd, Klotz dies, okay? That seems to be common for people to report people in the attic, right? He was 83 years old, too, but we also, they image shot me with my phone lines cut, so that tells you they're killers. And, and what Aaron Packelholder asked me if I knew 4 people that had been murdered died in my house, I believe they killed that. I was told about them killing a girl at that oil show party. These are killers, they're very scary, dangerous criminals, and that's why it's so important for me to be safe, make the good decisions. Okay? He also worked for the Department of Treasury, 25 years of service, and so I believe he was a veteran too, of the Korean War. Okay, and so I don't know if they killed him or not, but I think we should always look at that. Interesting here, a neighbor of his, which was reading my Facebook stuff. And I don't have the name, but maybe Kennedy was the name. But Mr. Webb, I watch your videos, listen to your story. I find it very interesting that during the 2014-2016 timeframe that you talk about, my neighbor and I were noticing working and digging noise at night. They were expanding the water facility on Storey at the time, so I first thought nothing of it. Later on, as the sounds continued through the night, I started to ask questions about this work. I just wanted to let you know that I believe you, and that I too believe there are underground tunnels, and that there are a lot of things going on under our feet that most people aren't aware of here in Midland, Texas. Okay. And she tells me she lives on Rick Drive, a street directly to the south, past the 2 huge water things, and it's a stone's throw away from her. Okay, and so I'm telling her, and I've long suspected it's human trafficking is why they rig these homes. I mean, it's free room and board, etc. Okay, and so I think that's all. The other ones I got are here, and I'll show you here. If you Midland Central Appraisal District, that's midcad.org. You just go into property address. And put Storey and then they hit search. Then you just go down to 4619. That's where I got all this data from. Anybody can do this. It's not secret. Okay, so there it is. Here's the guy that lives there right now, Patrick Winham, and you can go down and you can see that there's Harold Klotz, and he's the man that kept repeatedly reporting people in the attic before he died. Does that sound familiar? And then James David Pine bought it from him, and he's the boss of the realtor that found me this home. Okay. I found Charles Holcomb on Facebook with a Facebook search. 40 mutual friends there, and so whether that home has a tunnel going over, I don't know. Let's see, I'm thinking this was the home right here, 4619, that one. Okay, because I'm looking at the aerial view now, and this one right here is 21, so that's probably the Holcomb. And I'm always looking. I'm going, oh look, they got 2 sheds out back, etc. And then on the other side is the 17. That's the doctor's house with all the traffic. And then I'm thinking, well, the quickest place to put in a tunnel would be straight across, right? I mean, that'd be shortest distance. And what Harold Klotz told me is he moved out for about 5 years. He had owned that home for like 40 years. He moved out. He let some family members live there during this 5-year time, and when he moved back into his home, that's when he recognized that somebody was getting into his attic, and he was being called crazy, and they wasn't doing nothing about it, and they were terrorizing this man. I truly felt sorry for him, and especially after I told him, I reported it, and they ambushed and shot me, and so the only thing you have to worry about is secret police armed and dangerous criminals, planning premeditated premeditated murders. That's all you got to worry about. And then also Facebook search for David Pine, and we look here, and we got 397 mutual friends there. So, and then owns a realtor business, so I'm sure he knows everybody in Midland. But I think law enforcement, legitimate law enforcement, is trying to stop this murderous crime ring that's been rigging these homes and to steal and kill. This could be some possible leads for you at 4619 Storey and the owners there, and maybe you want to talk to them. Maybe you want to talk to Paul Best and ask him, what he knows. Where's the traffic? Was there tunnels accessing? Talk to neighbors, see if they saw anything. There's a lot of investigation to be done by legitimate law enforcement. It's Buddy, Midland, Texas.